All right. It's gotten a little nippy outside. Got on my svelte here. You got on your hoodie. We are here to preview Syracuse. The Hokies have won 3 games in a row. First time. Opportunity to win 4. Opportunity to exercise demons in a building that we haven't won in a very long time. And real quick, a lot of people are pushing back on this saying, fake stat. No, it's a real stat. Doesn't matter how many times we've been there. It's been a house of horrors. And we're trying to get rid of that on Halloween weekend. We are the Sons of Saturday. I am Billy Ray. This is Pat. We are both in Charlotte. And we are here to preview the Virginia Tech Syracuse game taking place at high noon on the CW on Saturday. Patrick, how are we doing, bud?
Good. Gonna consume this game in Charleston, South Carolina. Be fun to get down to Chucktown this weekend. Staying down in Mount Pleasant. But I have never been up to the Syracuse JMA Wireless Dome. Billy, did you go in 2016?
Did not. Have never been there. Never been to Syracuse, New York.
I have some relatives up in the Niskayuna area, but I've never been up there. I just know it was tough to win up there in the Big East days. Surprisingly so, Virginia Tech not having a winning record against Syracuse. Hokies have won 9 games. Syracuse has won 11 games. And it's fun to go down memory lane or memory orange because low-key, this is a historic football program. And they just, have kind of fell victim to a handful of things. The changing landscape of college football, the Northeast just being overly consumed by pro sports over college sports, conference realignment, all the above. It's tough to recruit people to cold football college towns unless you're in the Big Ten.
I was going to say that national recruiting probably more than anything has really hampered. And we're going to talk about it on this podcast. There's a ton of talent in the New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut area. And those guys are going to Penn State. They're going to Ohio State. They're going to Florida. They're going to Clemson, Alabama. They're going everywhere but north. And I think Syracuse has fallen victim to that. But having a good year this year. And would love to see, I feel like we say this a lot with a lot of our opponents, would love to see all of these teams return to being nationally relevant every week.
Could not agree with you more, Billy Ray. So just some housekeeping stuff. Shout out to our partners at Roots. We have been doing some Roots giveaways for tickets. We will have some more football tickets to give away next week for the Clemson game. Might give away a few more Section 5 club tickets for the Clemson game. If you're in the Section 5 club, you're listening, you're like, all right, Pat, where are they? I want them. We're also doing an event at Bull and Bones Friday night before the Clemson game for our Section 5 club members. So if you are a Section 5 club member, we are going to have a tab just for you for Friday night. Check it out. Check out the site for more details on that. Communications going out this week. Excited to drink some Saturday shandies with our fan club community here. But Billy Ray, do you want to lead us in with some Hokie haiku?
I sure can. And you still have an opportunity to sign up. If you're like, wow, I want to drink at Bull and Bones for free, go ahead and sign up for the Section 5 Club. It's just $5. That's ROI right away. You drink one beer, or if you're under 21, you have one app or a bite of something, it's going to be covered. So,
again, tab on the Sons of Saturday.
Kind of fun.
Tab equals free.
Hokie haiku from Pete McGee. Beat them to a pulp. March and twist. Prepare to gulp. I don't know about that. Morning mimosa. As you can see behind me, if you're on YouTube, I did take this wonderful photo of Frank Beamer looking like he's on a trophy hunt for some orange. But this is actually from the Orange Bowl, which we did win. So a lot of orange puns. I hope you guys are ready for them.
Orange you glad Billy prepared you for that? Because I am. Know the foe. Formerly the Carrier Dome. Syracuse now plays in the JMA Wireless Dome. JMA Wireless is a local telecommunications company up there in central New York. Syracuse is the only New York school in the Power Four. They did win a national championship in 1959, beating Texas in the Cotton Bowl. That's their consensus natty.
Two fun facts.
Yeah.
Two fun facts. The Syracuse Orange and the Stanford Cardinal, two teams whose name doesn't end in an S. I'm not sure there's another one in the ACC that has a team that doesn't end in an S. It's very rare that you get a team that doesn't end
Notre
in an
Dame
S.
Firing Irish does not end in an S.
They are good thing they are not in the ACC.
They are in the ACC, just not for the sport that we're talking about right now. Syracuse. If you meet a guy from the Northeast, he might say it like Syracuse, but I do say it like Sarah, like the female name Sarah.
Yeah.
Cuse.
Yep.
Cuse, also a nickname here. Syracuse was established in 1870 with roots in the Methodist Episcopal Church. The Syracuse endowment is $1.9 billion. The Syracuse enrollment undergrad as of 2022 was 15,000 and postgrad 6,500. Kind of surprised. I actually thought Syracuse would have more undergrads than that means they're about half the size of Virginia Tech.
I can't believe you didn't get excited about my not ending in an S thing and then went on to talk about their endowment. Like the no S ending is pretty exciting. That's a pretty exciting footnote. You can't follow that up with the endowment, man. You got to come back with like, dude, Earl Davis, Donovan McNabb. I mean, it's a cool stat. Name a lot of teams that don't end in an S. If you're in the YouTube, throw it in the comments. Teams whose names don't end in an S. It's harder than you think it is.
The Navy midshipmen. There's one right there. The Harvard Crimson. There's another.
Good one.
Alabama Crimson Tide. There's another. Like there's like dozens. There's like a couple dozen. It's like having
I'll get the exact
conversation about colleges that are just the name of a color, like Auburn. Auburn is the name of a color. I think is Siena a color?
I mean, we're on Siena and like Harvard right now. I'm saying the list is not long.
All right. Well, anywho, notable alumni. There's a lot of notable alums from Syracuse University. Anywhere from Marvin Harrison, Dwight Freeney, Larry Sonka, Carmelo Anthony. You guys might have heard of Melo. Tons of folks in the media space. You're talking Mike Tirico, Sean McDonough, our very own Bill Roth.
Yep.
University of Syracuse graduates from the Newhouse. I think it's called the Newhouse School of Communications.
Jim Brown, legend
Dave
for
Pash,
Cleveland.
Megan Kelly, Bob Costas, Marv Albert. I mean, Ian Eagle.
It's like the Stanford preview with some of these names, man. You got
Dave
some
O'Brien
names.
So they got some smarty pants up there at the Qs. But back into football, 2 undefeated seasons, 5 conference championships since 1991. They were a wagon in the Big East in the 90s. Like Syracuse football was so legit. They got a lot of fans. 3 straight Big East championships from 96 to 98. They won the Big East in 2004 and 2012, right before they left for the ACC in 2013. They also have a Heisman Trophy winner named Ernie Davis, who's the first ever African-American to win the Heisman Trophy. They have 60 first-team All-Americans as well. Have we said Jim Brown?
We have. I threw him in there.
Thank you. Thank you for carrying the load there. And they also have some fun traditions. The legend of number 44. 44 holds legendary status because the zip code for Syracuse is 13244. They take the 44 to pay homage to the significance of the number in the program history. Jim Brown, Ernie Davis, Floyd Little, all Americans, all running backs, all wore number 44. So if you wear number 44 at Syracuse, you're a legend.
Dude.
It's a lot to live up to if you're wearing that number. Otto the Orange, I mean, that guy rules. Some people might say Otto, he's kind of lame. I think Otto is one of the better mascots in all of sports, not even just college sports. You have this little orange guy running around, kind of cute. So shout out to our guy Otto. Rivalries, Pittsburgh. And of note, the Pittsburgh-Syracuse rivalry. Highest scoring game in FBS history was the final game of 2016.
Wow.
Pittsburgh beat Syracuse 76-61. 137 points. You had Eric Dungy. You had it wasn't Kenny Pickett. What was it? Nathan Peterman? You think Nathan Peterman put up 76 points? Whew. West Virginia, also a rival of Syracuse. Penn State is listed as a rival. Colgate is listed as a rival. I'm sure there's a lot of historic beef with Colgate there. And then I will say, if you ask a Rutgers fan who is one of the biggest rivals or someone that you don't like from the Big East days, Syracuse is one of the top that a Rutgers fan will mention as well. I'm not sure if it goes both way there or not, but you guys know Syracuse is very successful in men's basketball, men's lacrosse, I think women's lacrosse, had some good women's basketball teams. Good school up there in Syracuse. But now, Hokie history. I want to dive in a little bit into the Virginia Tech Syracuse history. We can take it to 2023. Hokies won 38-10 last year. Thursday night football, complete domination by Virginia Tech. Billy Ray, what was your favorite play or most notable play from defeating Syracuse last year on Thursday night?
A couple that come to mind is this. I think we safetied Schrader. We had like a sack safety, or he threw it away and got intentional grounding. That one stands out. The Daquan Felton long play where he posed for the camera was great. I just remember that being such a fun game together. Tech was rolling Thursday night, close to a sellout. You know how Thursdays gets. It's not all the way to a sellout usually. But that was actually the first time that we had our film crew. They did some awesome work there. Was down on the field, had an awesome time. I can't remember if this was the worm before the
no,
Enter Sandman. That was Pitt. Okay. But yeah, just an awesome time. Big Russ was there, had an awesome time. Yeah, that was a fun afternoon. One of my favorite games from last year, if not my favorite.
I think that was yeah, we loved the Pitt game last year.
It was great.
Syracuse might have been number 2.
Mm-hmm.
That was the karaoke before the game.
Mm-hmm.
Syracuse versus Virginia Tech is 8-2 at home. So if you want a narrative, you have one. It's really hard to win up there.
Yeah.
We've went up there 10 times. We've won twice. That's 20%. That's really hard. In Lane Stadium, Virginia Tech owns a 7-3 record over Syracuse. The last 5 matchups between 97 and 2023 have been split right down the middle. Let's see. Let's talk about, oh man, do we want to talk about 2021? That was really, really hard.
I was going to say, let's go in reverse order. 2021 was tough. I think it was the final nail in the coffin for the Fuente era. We got the fire Fuente chance at the beginning of the game. Just an awful game to sit through and watch.
Really just a 2-minute drill disaster that we were up, 9 points with like 2 minutes to go. We had a nice shoot. Who scored the first touchdown? Drake. Drake Eulis scores the first touchdown of the game. We're like, all right, sweet. Burmeister to Drake. We had the throwback uniforms, look very similar to the ones we have now, and went out, lost 41-36.
The uniforms look great.
I mean, between West Virginia, Notre Dame, West Virginia, Notre Dame, and Syracuse that year, those are 3 games that were all lost in the last 2 minutes of the game. Really, really, really tough.
2021, you should have came for North Carolina and left after North Carolina.
Never again. 2016, this was I mean, we were rolling. We went up to the dome, and we kind of just they caught us with our pants down, like lost to Eric Dungy. This is the CJ Carroll diving catch game. We wore like the chrome helmet.
Yeah.
But it just didn't look very good. Had to fight
for
back
this game. For me, this game was the Davon Ellison game. Davon Ellison was a defensive back from Don Bosco. He was teammates with Terrell Smith. We were close in high school. Not saying it's why we lost the game, but I did beg Tech. I'm like, this guy is a stud. He should come play here. So he came to Tech. They told him he was too slow. Ended up at Syracuse. And what does he do? Career high in tackles. He had 11 tackles and a pass breakup. I believe his pass breakup ended up getting intercepted. Really good player, though. You should go watch his film. He was a good player. Davon Ellison.
Tough day for our pass D. Syracuse was 30 of 55 for 405 yards, 2 touchdowns. Eric Dungy, 28 of 53, 311 through the air. They did a trick play. Franklin Zaire was 1 of 1 for 84 yards and a touchdown. So, but tough one. We don't have to talk about that anymore. 2003, we absolutely destroyed Syracuse at home, 51-7. This was a lot better. We have had our fair share of beatdowns of Syracuse in Lane Stadium. For whatever reason, it's not linking to the recap on the Syracuse website. Probably because they lost, so they didn't want to put a recap of a loss on here. 1999 was epic. 1999 is the 62-0 beatdown in the Terror Dome. College game day comes to town for Virginia Tech versus Syracuse. One of 2 times that they came that year. They also came from Miami, and we beat them 62-0 in front of the country. Pretty awesome. This is as far back as I'll go. 1998. This is the Donovan McNabb heroic game. He's throwing up on the sidelines. There's 5 seconds left. They're at 4-yard line, and drops back, rolls to his right, and throws across his body, finds his tight end, and on the other opposite corner of the end zone. Syracuse beats Tech 28-26 up at the Carrier Dome. So it's a competitive former Big East rivalry here. A lot on the line here on Saturday, at least for us. I think you got some things rolling on their side as well. They have 2 ranked wins. They're 2-2 in conference play, 5-2 first year head coach. We'll see how things go here, but let's roll into storylines.
Just on your point that you just made, like, make no mistake about it. Like, Syracuse is a good football team. Like, if you're not paying attention, if you're not watching, they have a solid win over ranked Georgia Tech right after Georgia Tech beat Florida State. They have an awful loss to Stanford at home. I've actually had an interesting betting history this year with Syracuse, and they had the awesome win over UNLV on the road. They beat UNLV in Las Vegas. Fun game to watch. I think it was on like a Thursday or a Friday. But they're 5-2. Fran Brown, look, he's from Camden, New Jersey. Okay, we got a lot of New Jersey people on this Syracuse preview. He came from UGA. He was a DB coach there. Before that, Rutgers defensive back coach, Temple co-DC and defensive back coach, Baylor assistant head coach, and a DB coach at Temple and a DB GA at his time at Temple. Syracuse is getting absolutely throttled and railroaded by Pitt last Thursday. The final score was 41-13. It was 31-0 at halftime. Kyle McCord finished this game 35 of 64 with 5 interceptions, no touchdowns, and 3 pick sixes. Just about the worst performance you can possibly have as a quarterback. It was awful. Absolutely awful. To add insult to injury, Syracuse outgained Pitt 327-217. Syracuse was held to 6 yards rushing. And one of the funnier press conference reactions was Fran Brown. He gets up there and he says, I didn't believe that we would lose until there were 3 minutes left on the clock. And then I was like, freak. That is an actual quote from Fran Brown following this game. I knew they were going to lose at halftime. I knew they were going to lose after the first quarter. It was so bad. But anyway, Syracuse, homecoming game. They're going to want to bounce back. They're going to want to show well. Again, they're 5-2. They're not really in the conversation for the conference championship anymore with those 2 conference losses, although Fran Brown says differently. But they're going to be angry. They're coming off of a long week of preparation. They played on Thursday. So this is an exciting matchup. It really, really is. So I'm fired up for it.
It's their homecoming game, and this is kind of like, if you're a Syracuse student, this is probably the last game you're going to, because they have 2 more home games after Virginia Tech, but they bookend Thanksgiving. And I'm not going to say Syracuse fans and Virginia Tech fans are different, but you're probably getting more Virginia Tech students out at both Thanksgiving games.
Mm-hmm.
So, they might be looking at this as their last game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be loud in there. It is a temperature-controlled environment there up at the JMA Wireless Dome. We do have Tom Brenneman is calling the game on the CW at noon. This is and there's a deep drive by Castellanos, and that'll make it a 2-0 ball game. So this is the second game he's calling all year from Virginia Tech. 1-0 with him in the booth. The CW did have the ump cam, which I thought was pretty cool. They strapped like a GoPro on the umpire during the game. Thought it was cool watching in the rewatch against Marshall.
I don't have any problem with the CW. Like the CW, it's unfortunate to be on the CW, but their production value is pretty good. It's not like you're stuck on Apple TV. Like this is, the production value is good.
I think the only issue with the CW is just making sure that wherever you're watching the game, they have it.
Yes.
So, wherever I am in Mount Pleasant this weekend, I'm hoping they got that C-dub. This is a noon game. We did do a little bit of analysis. We have struggled in the early kickoff times / noon starts. It has seemed that the night games this year, we bring our A game, Miami and Boston College. I think we were sluggish in some of the earlier starts. And I think this is historically last year in 2022 also. Brett Smith did do some analysis there. Maybe we should put out a Twitter thread. Maybe. We'll see. Let's see. Let's
notes.
Yeah, into the press conference. Franny.
Yeah, I was trying to find my guy Brett's numbers. We'll put them out. So Fran Brown, I know Tootin is always scrolling, looking for things to motivate himself. So he said Tootin is one of the better backs in the conference. Newsflash, Bashal Tootin is one of the best backs in America. So he's not one of the better backs in the conference. He's one of the better backs in the country. Obviously, people never mean that as a slight, but that is what he said. So keep an eye and your story notifications on for Bashal Tootin. Don't let him get a hold of that. He also said about Kyle McCord, I think our quarterback is really good, and it was just an off night. It was an off night for our football program, for the entire team, starting with the head football coach, myself. So some accountability there following a disaster performance on Thursday night. Coach Pry, this was exciting. He said Bashal Tootin is probable, not maybe, not questionable. He said probable. So for those scholars out there, probable sounds like and kind of means probably. So do with that as you will. He also said Xavier Chaplin is probable as well. He's dealing with a shoulder and got leg whipped last week. Getting leg whipped is no fun for those of you who have not had that happen.
Is that like a dead leg, or can you describe?
It's like somebody falls or somebody gets thrown and their leg like just kind of whips and hits you in your fatty area in your leg or maybe your knee or your ankle. It feels awful. There's nothing fun about a leg whip, especially if they have on a knee brace. That's no fun. So vibe check. I'm extremely excited to see our defensive backs get tested. We have played 3 backups in the month of October: Stanford, Georgia Tech. We got 2 backups from Georgia Tech. Rutgers straight up just can't throw the football, and Marshall was awful at throwing the football.
I mean,
so
Rutgers
we have had
Rutgers threw the football.
They threw the football, but they moved the pocket. They manipulated the pocket. I'm saying a true pocket passer, somebody who is going to air it out. Rutgers ran a play and dumped it off for 5 or 6 yards. If we're calling that a passing attack, then certainly Rutgers passed the ball. But, this is the first time since really Cam Ward that we're going to see a quarterback who's capable of doing it. Exciting challenge for us.
Yeah, Cam Ward has really been – Diego was not a passer, right? Diego had some fancy runs. He would run for a few yards and then pass it behind the line of scrimmage. Like he was more of a Swiss Army knife than anything.
Mm-hmm.
But Cam Ward, and we know how that went, right? Mm-hmm. Cam Ward was on the field most of the game. Let's see. I guess we have these notes consecutively here. All right, let's just jump into the offense, Billy Ray.
Syracuse is maybe the single most one-dimensional football team I remember previewing since we've been doing this. We've been doing this since 2019. They have a top 5 passing attack in the country at 358 yards per game, and they have an awful rushing attack of 90 yards per game. I'm just going to talk a little bit about McCord here. 6'3", 220 from Mount Laurel, New Jersey. 19 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 5 of which came last week. He has the second most yards in the ACC with 2,481 behind Cam Ward. He also has the most attempts, 346 in the conference, and Cam Ward is next with 281. He will also pass his attempts number from last year this week. He needs 2 passes to do that. So they are putting a ton on our boys' plate here. So
super, super heavy with the pass. They're tied for 15th in America in total first downs. 130 of those are passing and only 43 of those first downs are rushing. I thought this was ironic. Syracuse leads the country in time of possession.
Wow.
At 34 minutes and 55 seconds per game. Now, usually, if you lead the country in time of possession, you're probably chewing the clock. You're probably running the football. Yeah. Not the case. This is a passing stat in this case, not a running stat. Don't know how that adds up. But
one thing that they're tremendous at is they're tremendous on third down. They're a top 10 third down team in the country. They convert over 50% of their third down attempts. So they do a good job of staying on the field. And look, like one last thing on Kyle McCord, like this kid can play. Like he was ran out of Columbus with a 3,000-yard season, 24 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. And again, like a lot of people are kind of pointing the finger at him and being like, oh, he's a fraud. Look at what he did at Pittsburgh. The guy is being asked to do everything for this offense. Now, he has some good wide receivers. We're going to talk about him in a second. But, this is, if not, Cam Ward's the best quarterback we're going to play all year. But he is certainly in that conversation of one of the best quarterbacks that we've played against in this Brent Pry era. In my opinion, I think he can make every throw. And he's a really, really good player. I think he has a chance to play on Sundays or be on a roster for somebody. So
I love here, like one last thing on Kyle McCord. I still have like lots of things on Kyle McCord here. It is unbelievable how consistent he is as far as just going out there. In 7 games, he hasn't thrown for less than 321 yards or more than 385 yards. It was 321 Pitt, 381 NC State, 339 UNLV, 385 Holy Cross, 355 Stanford, 346 Georgia Tech. This guy just goes out there, throws it like 55 times, and gets his like 350 and 2 touchdowns. It's pretty incredible. You mentioned they were good on third down and sustaining drives. They're also really good on fourth down. Syracuse is 13 of 18 on fourth down conversions, which is good for 72% and is the 7th most conversions on fourth down in America. McCord has been sacked 15 times. He was sacked 4 times last week. He is the opposite of a ground threat, as you would imagine as well. Did you read the Anything on the receivers? I know.
No,
We're not even
no
going to talk that much about the run game here, right?
There's nothing to
all
talk about. I
about-
mean, 90 yards a game. It's not really a difference maker for them. I wouldn't even call it a difference maker. It's just not something that they do very effectively. I think you mentioned this. Kyle McCord was sacked 15 times this year, 4 times against Pittsburgh. 2 top 10 ACC wide receivers on this roster. You have Jackson Meeks. He's 6'2", 210 from Phoenix City, Alabama. 43 catches for 512 yards and 4 touchdowns. He had 11 catches and 116 yards and a touchdown against NC State. Then we have Trevor Pena. There's no accent, so I think it's just Trevor Pena. He's 6 foot 184 from Ocean Township, New Jersey. Another New Jersey guy. 47 catches for 509 yards and 5 touchdowns. He also had a 10-catch performance, 10 catches and 101 yards against Stanford. And then the last one, I was talking to PB about this today. His name is Orond Gadsden. He's 6'5", 236. He's a Bucky Hodges type. He has 466 yards on 35 receptions and 3 touchdowns. So he is a guy that I would keep an eye on, and I'm interested to see who we have in coverage against him. That's a big body, 6'5", 236. So we will need to figure that out.
I can't be that disrespectful. We should talk about the running back. This guy has gotten 109 carries on the year. His name is LaQuint Allen from Millville, New Jersey. And LaQuint Allen, 6 foot, 201, 109 carries, 481 yards, 4 touchdowns, including 2 touchdowns at UNLV. Is averaging 4.4 yards per carry. Here's a fun fact about Syracuse. 0 fumbles on the year.
0 fumbles on the year.
11 picks out of Kyle McCord, 0 fumbles on the year out of the Syracuse offense.
I mean, this is where you get the time of possession. I mean, the 11 number, again, Pittsburgh really, really did a number on our boy Kyle. I'm interested to see how he rebounds because there have been times where a quarterback is rolling, then you have a performance like that, and it's just like,
Well, you throw 5 interceptions in a game. If 3 of those interceptions are taken to the house, you're getting the ball right back. So it's, you can see why your time of possession might be heavier on the Syracuse side than the Pittsburgh side here.
As far as their defense goes, they have a first-year defensive coordinator in Elijah Robinson, who is an interim head coach at Texas A&M, and he is from Camden, New Jersey. He runs a 4-2-5 defense. Tell you what, about as bad as a situation as possible, and they held Pitt on defense pretty well for the times that they weren't scoring on defense themselves. So, I was watching this Pittsburgh-Syracuse game, and I kept saying, like, if they can just stop turning the ball over, they can get themselves back into the game. But they just refused to stop giving them the football. So that was determined for them.
Total defense, they are allowing 336 yards per game, which is good for 43rd overall. Opponents are 22 of 75 on 3rd down, which is very good. That's good for 12th in America. Virginia Tech did not have a great showing on 3rd down versus Georgia Tech. Opponents are 5 of 8 on 4th downs, which is actually not very good at all. That's good for 62% conversion rate and 98th across this great nation. Syracuse is in the top 20 for opponents' first downs. They've allowed only 125 total first downs on the year. Opponents are averaging 27 points per game, which is 85th in the country, 6 yards per play. Their rush defense, 119 yards per game, which is good for 36th. Opponents are going for 4.5 yards per carry. Leading tacklers, Justin Barron with 48, Derek McDonald with 48, and then Elijah Clark has 35, and Darian Chestnut has 34. Flipping over to their pass defense, opponents are completing 67% of passes on Syracuse for 217 yards per game, which is good for 63rd, and they have picked off 6 passes thus far this year. The big guys on the line, their D-line, Fadil Diggs has 8.5 tackles for loss and 4 sacks. Devin Grant, 6 TFLs, one of those being a sack. Justin Barron, 4.5 TFLs with 1 sack. And then on the all-name team alert for the ACC, King Joseph Edwards has 3 sacks on the year for the Syracuse defense. Their red zone defense, opponents are scoring 90.5% of the time when they are in the red zone. That is the 118th worst percentage in the country. Virginia Tech is ranked number 4 in this category. We're doing very well on our red zone defense. 21 attempts, 3 rushing touchdowns, 7 passing touchdowns, and 9 field goals on this Syracuse defense when opponents are in the red zone. Any comments on the defense, Billy Ray, from what you saw last week versus Pittsburgh?
No, for me, and this kind of translates into the keys for me is I'm super excited to see Tootin, if healthy, against a top 40 defense in rushing for Syracuse. And I'm super excited to see our defensive backs tested against a good wide receiving core and a good quarterback. I think that there are a ton of intriguing matchups here. It's a shame it's buried on the CW. But I do think this is a super compelling game in terms of matchup wise. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a fun game. In terms of keys to the game, you're not going to be able to just like score 21 or 18 or 17 points and win this game. Like Virginia Tech's offense is going to have to show up. We cannot have what we had last week. I said it on the post Georgia Tech game show, like we cannot show up and be a 0 on offense. One thing about Syracuse, they're going to move the ball. They're going to attack you vertically. They're probably going to score a good amount of points. So Virginia Tech, we're going to need to be scoring. I think we're going to have to score 30 plus to win this game. I think we can do it, but we can't have drives that end in field goals, and we can't have nonstop 3-and-outs. That is the thing for me. I think the defense has been great basically all season and has risen to the occasion when they've needed to. But my eyeballs are going to be on the offense. We're going to have to light up the scoreboard.
We have not been great at time of possession this year. They're going to have sustained drives based on how good they are at converting on 3rd down and even converting on 4th down. And this game is really going to come down to time of possession and being able to protect the football as well. I would say time of possession, protecting the football, and a lot of that comes down to converting on 3rd down. Virginia Tech was 2 of 15 last week on 3rd down conversions and only had the ball for 27 minutes of the football game.
Not going to cut it.
If we run the football, if we come out and run the football, need some solid performance from our offensive line, making some holes for Bashal Tootin. They got a solid run D. If we come out running the football, we should be able to play our game. But we saw some exciting big plays last year versus Syracuse. We had the trick play where Malachi Thomas threw for the touchdown. We had the deep bomb to Felton. We saw some trick plays last week versus Georgia Tech. I'm hoping there's some creativity that can extend drives because this is going to be a tough opportunity going up such a high-powered passing offense from Kyle McCord. And Cuse was not good on 3rd down either. Cuse was 6 of 20 on 3rd down last week. So it could just be a battle of who is better on 3rd down. Because historically, Cuse is great, but, obviously we didn't see it from Kyle last week.
Benny's lines. Remember, anyone with a game day pin gets $1 off their slice during home games. Only got 2 more opportunities, only 2 more chances in Lane Stadium to get together, get loud, and have some fun. So certainly looking forward to it, but I can't believe I think this was the week, Pat. I don't know if you got a bunch of these texts, but I several group chats just saying, man, college football season's already kind of like coming to a close here, which is a huge bummer. It's a huge bummer. Wish it would never end. The lines. So we have Hokies -4 and over 53.5. I got to be honest. If this under hits, I don't feel great about us winning the game. So I did bet the over. I did bet Hokies to cover 4 points. But this is what we got from Grant Watson. I'll read it, and Pat, you can go first. Hokies rushing yards, 139.5.
Needs to be over if we want to win the football game.
Completely agree. Tootin rushing touchdowns, 1.5.
I'm going to go under here. You know what? He didn't score on Saturday.
I was going to say, he kind of owes, he kind of got to get back in there, you know? He's got to.
Let's take the over from the junkyard dog.
I think he gets one. I think he gets one touchdown. So I'll go under. We'll be split on that one. Hokies turnovers forced, 1.5. I'm sorry. I'm jumping out of order. Hokies turnovers forced, 1.5.
I mean, we picked off Georgia Tech twice last week. Kyle McCord. I don't know. Is this the first time that Syracuse fumbles and it's recovered by the opposition all year? Let's take the over here. I think the defense has to come to play. And maybe it's a sack of Kyle McCord where APR is just pinning him down and it's a little strip sack, Corey Moore style. Let's take the over on turnovers forced.
I'll go over with you. Hokies have done a great job turning the ball over, having opponents turn the ball over all season long. And then Hokies points scored, 26.5. It has to be more than this. It's so funny because I'm out here like just straight up pounding the table saying that we need to score a lot of points. If we come out and win this game or lose this game like 9-6 or something, I'm going to look like a fool. But I truly think that the magic number for me is 30. You got to score 30 this week. I think that's what we're going to need to do. So I'll go over.
If we want to win the football game, again, it's just like that rushing stat. We have to go over this number. I don't feel good about Virginia Tech in this situation, especially on the road, not scoring more than 30 points, honestly. Until that trend changes, will this be the first time we win a game within one score in the ACC? I'm feeling nervous about a close game here. As we roll into score predictions, Billy Ray, you have been Johnny on the spot or Johnny right off the spot over the last few weeks.
I have straight up been crushing score predictions this year. I predicted 24-7 last week. We won 21-6. I don't remember exactly what I predicted by Stanford, but I think it was off by like 1 or 2 points. So I'm going to go 35-24 Virginia Tech. I don't know where the points are going to come from. If there was a game where it's like, hey, Ollie Jennings, Daquan Felton, come on down, it might be this one. Again, got a climate-controlled environment. We've gone out to California before, getting on the plane. I hope we got Delta One again with the reclining chairs and this whole situation. Whatever has to happen for Virginia Tech to go and win a football game. Wow. Win a football game in Syracuse, New York. It has to happen. Pat, do we even know when the next time we play them at Syracuse is? We can't have another one of these lulls. We got to win this game. This is, I don't want to call it a must win because I've been saying that for every single week, but I think this is just massive implications for the future, the rest of this season. It would be dare I say, monumental win for this program to go up and handle business against a team that's 5-2.
Completely agree. This is a huge opportunity for Syracuse where they say, hey, we have Virginia Tech right where we want them, right? It's a letdown look ahead spot for Virginia Tech where we have Clemson coming in next week. It's going to be the best team that Virginia Tech plays at home this year, and there could be some ACC championship implications on the line. But none of that matters if we don't take care of business on Saturday. You got Kyle McCord, who had the worst game of his career. He's probably been in the facility all day long, every day this week, just trying to figure it out and trying to overcome, whatever demons he needs to exercise from being at Heinz Field. So this puts us in a really tough spot. Right before the season, this was one of the games that we were fearing as well. I remember in Riegard's score prediction or Riegard's Hot Wings and Hotter takes about teams that we were playing orange. I think he said that this was the game that we were going to lose of teams on our schedule that were wearing orange. So this is really important. I don't care if it's on the CW. Virginia Tech wins this football game, 1 possession ball game, 30-24 up at Syracuse. That is my prediction.
I'm glad you brought this up because I don't meddle in this type of verbiage, but for all of you who have a problem with the team not staying focused when the fans are tweeting about other things, I have seen, especially today, a ton of people wondering when the kickoff time is going to be for Clemson. Are we going to get a night game? Is college game day going to come? Is Josh Pate going to come? You got to win this game. I'm just telling you, the Clemson environment's going to be great. It's going to be exciting. I don't care if we play at 8:00 in the morning, although it wouldn't be preferred. Like this, I haven't thought about it until we kind of fleshed it out here, Pat. This is such a crucially important game for so many reasons. And fired up, nervous, a lot of feelings going on here.
You can make the argument that Clemson doesn't matter if we don't take care of business on Saturday. Now it's going to matter. We're going to welcome a top 10 team to Blacksburg. Obviously that game matters, but from a magnitude standpoint, we want that game to be the biggest game we play all year. And we can't do that if we don't win the biggest game we're playing all year, which is Saturday at noon.
For it to just mean more, you got to win on the CW. That's what you got to do.
Central New York. We got a letter from the Pale from Tyler Nelson. The hopium, the rat poison.
Oh man, I feel like we read a question just like this before we played Louisville, or before we played NC State, or both. If we run the table, do you think we get in? Need help from 2 out of 3 of Miami, SMU, and Pitt. You should not be rooting against Miami. Miami would need to lose 2 games, and we'd need to go undefeated for us to pass Miami. Also, if it were up to me, I'd love to play Miami in the ACC championship. So the magic potion for Virginia Tech to, if handling business the rest of the season, we need Pittsburgh to lose, we need SMU to lose, and we need Clemson to lose to us. So a dream scenario here would be for us to beat Clemson, we need Pittsburgh to lose to Clemson, us to beat Clemson, and then Pittsburgh to beat SMU. Ipso facto, that puts us in second place in the ACC to go do what we got to do. But look, at the end of the day, all we can control is what we can control, and we need to beat Syracuse on Saturday, and then we will turn the page to Clemson, then we'll turn the page to Duke, then we'll turn the page to Virginia. So that's what we got to focus on. Got to stay focused. Headstrong. That's what you got to do.
Don't sleep on Boston College, UVA, and even Cal potentially playing spoiler versus SMU.
Duke tried.
What sucks with SMU is they have 3 out of their last 4 games at home. So it's going to be tough to run into Dallas and take care of business down there. I requested a letter from the lunch pail as well. And it says, "Hey, Sons of Saturday, can you please shout out the special teams units on Syracuse?" Because we forgot the special teams segment tonight. So we're going to review B. Denneberg. What's his first name here? We got Brady Denneberg on Syracuse. He's 50% on the year. Here we go again. Another 50% kicker in the ACC. We had Aiden Burr last week. We have Brady D this week. 3 of 6. Longest is of 33 yards. 16 of 16 on extra points. Good to know. Let's see. Anything longer than 33, he is winless. Hasn't made any of them. So that is good information to know here. They also have a guy named Jaden O.
As well.
O-H. Oh! O for the orange. 40% on the year, 2 of 5, long of 32. That is crazy. We got 2 teams in a row that have struggled this mightily. Syracuse as a team has missed more than they've made when they send their field goal unit out there. So very interesting. 0 of 3 from 40 or more on the year from Jaden O.
That is all that we have. Do they have any kick return touchdowns? It doesn't seem like it. I mean, yeah, we just missed special teams. But we figured it out.
It's okay.
It's okay. That's all I have. I will be watching the game in Charlotte. Not sure where yet. But I am excited about it. If you're making the trip up to Syracuse, please be safe. Enjoy it. And if you are watching anywhere else, please talk to your local television distribution company and figure out where you can get the game. Anything else, Pat, for the good of the order, and anything else that we need to talk about? Shout out my background, coach, holding up the oranges.
I think we just need to plug that Kyle McCord has been your guy.
He has
up until this point. I don't know if you mentioned that at the very beginning, but if you're a Sons of Saturday listener, you probably know that Billy Ray has been quite fond of Kyle M.
Yep.
Casey, if you're listening, this is a shout out for your guy Kyle.
I'll say it if you're going to coax me into saying it again. Good season. Awful game last week. Awful. If he can just keep that up for just a few more days, he can go back to throwing touchdowns and doing his thing. So beat Syracuse. Hope the Yankees get swept.
Damn, that'd be a tough weekend for New York.
It would be a tough weekend for New York. The Knicks look bad. Man, it's been tough. But anyway, that's a podcast. We will be talking to you soon. Last note, we are interviewing Coach Duffy on Thursday night. So I'm really looking forward to that. If you have any questions for Coach Duffy, please put those in the replies. And we will be chatting with you soon, everybody. Go Hokies.
Go Hokies.